Hey guys, it's Melissa Kathryn, and welcome to today's Done With Dieting Live. I'm really excited to be with you. This is a topic that I'm extremely passionate about, so I'm just going to adjust this because it's a little crooked here. Hi. So I am Melissa Kathryn. If you are new to me and new to Done With Dieting Live, this is the place to be done with dieting, to learn how to lose weight easily and effortlessly, without dieting, without restricting, without depriving, without making yourself wrong, learning the keys and the tools that are needed to really reconnect with yourself. Hi, Maria. Oh my God, girl. It is so good to see you. We are back another week. Thank you for the hearts. So I'm really excited. I was just sharing that today is about banishing binges, how to stop binge eating before it starts. And this is something that I am passionate about as somebody that would binge eat and did for many years. Once I really see what was needed, I look back and I'm kind of like, wow, I can see where I wasn't in a space and didn't really know the steps to take to stop. And I didn't really understand what was going on that kept me in that perpetual pattern of self-berating, making myself wrong, beating myself up, derailing myself, and then binging and going through the process over and over again. Especially when I would start to see results and feel really good with my body, what would drive me back to binging? What would bring me back to that space? And that's something that I hear from my clients. You know, I've been doing this work for, over a decade. And it's, you know, I hear it from women of all ages. You know, my body seems to go on autopilot. I don't understand. As much as I want to lose weight, I still can't seem to stick to my goals. I know what to do, but I'm just not doing it. When it comes to binge eating, it's like I was so good all week and then the weekend came. Or my kid's birthday party, or, you know, we ended up having this in the house and I'm just not able to control myself. And that's an awful feeling, to not feel in control around a substance that we need to live, right? Like, that's the worst thing about it when we really look at addictions, when we look at food addiction versus alcoholism or drug addiction or other things. We need food to live, and you can't get around it. Hello, Rebecca, my girlfriend. You're still in Bali. I can't wait to hear all about it. Rebecca's amazing. She's one of my clients and she's fantastic, and I cannot wait to hear all about it. So I'm like, girl, come to my retreat in Bali. I can't wait to hear about yours. So when we're talking about binging, it's just such an important topic. And it's something, and another thing that I just want to talk about before we get started today, because I really want to take us through these steps and really make this be as impactful for you as possible, is a lot of people have this connotation around binging, and they'll say, oh, I'm not a binge eater. And then I'll be talking to women. I go, okay, well, do you eat more than you need? And are you aware that you're doing it? And then do you feel sick afterwards? And they'll go, yeah, no, I do that. I do that pretty often. I'll go, okay, well, that's essentially binging. When we're eating more than what our body needs, and food is no longer fuel, and we're eating to the point where we feel sick, and we're fully aware of what we're doing, that is binge eating. And it can be classified under a compulsive act, and many times is, and a lot of women will say, you know, they don't even recognize, they know that they're doing it, but they just can't stop themselves. So what I really want to do today is give you the tools and to help support you in really helping you to banish binging, helping you to stop binge eating and overcome, you know. And if you're sitting there and just I want to be really clear that a lot of people have this connotation around binge eating, that it's a girl sitting alone in a room with like 50 Snickers wrappers in front of her, a tub of ice cream, and a pizza box. Yes, it can be that. And, you know, I can tell you, you know, I binged on Quest bars, you know, where I would have 2 or 3, you know, in a sitting after, on top of dinner. And it was more just like this compulsive need. When we have a compulsive need, you've heard me say this before, wherever we have an unmet need, it will find its way to get its needs met. Where we have an unmet desire, it will find a way to get its needs met. Where we have an unmet need, it will find a way to get its needs met. If you are angry with somebody and you don't tell them, you will end up lashing out at somebody else. You will end up eating. You will end up getting angry with yourself. You will end up doing something that's going to get yourself to be in that space. So when we're talking about really ridding ourselves of binge eating, which is, which is something that you're hearing yourself go through so much. And this was a topic that I got immense number of emails around. And I just said, okay, this is definitely something that I'll do for our Facebook Live. I just really want to tell you there are specific steps. And just like you know this, and if you've been following me for long enough, then you recognize that if you've been struggling with your weight at all, and for more than a year, you don't have a weight issue, you actually have a relationship with food and a lack of one with yourself, because it's actually quite easy to lose weight. But if it was really just about calories in versus calories out, then the dieting industry wouldn't be $1 billion industry. And there wouldn't be a million YouTube videos and all of these different people talking about how to help you to lose the weight and keep it off. It's a lot more deep than that. There goes into a lot of other things, and that's really where the work that I do comes in, that there's the emotional connection. So I'm Melissa Kathryn. I am a holistic nutritionist. I am also a fitness expert and was a fitness competitor. I'm a hypnotherapist and intuitive. I combine all of these things and the facets of my work into helping women to be free from dieting, to come back to the truth of who they are, to release weight naturally, and to really thrive in life in a body that they love. I specialize in emotional eating, disordered eating, and working with women around also releasing traumas and limiting beliefs and limiting blocks that they have, keeping them from shining and really being the light that they want to be in this world. So let's really dive in today. And if you want to learn about me, just head over to my website. But I do want to tell you this, stick around till the end of this, because we have an amazing free gift for you. I'm gifting, I'll tell you about it at the end. So stay tuned, and you want to get that because it's not going to be posted until the end of this video. So listen, when it comes to binge eating, there's a few things. Binges come on for two reasons. One of them is for emotional reasons. You have different emotional things going on in your life, emotional stressors, family, friends, different things, your own mental state, whatever's going on for you, but binges will come on from an emotional state. Another reason why binges come on is from restrictive dieting. If you've noticed, when you restrict too much, you end up rebelling against yourself. Right? I talked about this in my book, Eat Right for Your Archetype, under 3 different archetypes. One of those is the rebel, right? And we end up, it's the person that's so good for so many days, and then she ends up rebelling. Or she starts losing the weight, and people start saying, God, you look so good. And then she goes and sabotages herself, right? She's rebelling against this. So you've heard me say this before, the mind only knows what you've taught it. Well, when you've been dieting forever and a day, you've taught your mind that you lose weight only to gain it back again. And that's really a pattern that goes on. So when we get down to binges, again, binges come on for 2 reasons. Either high restriction, right? Where we're just like, oh my God, this food is so boring. I can't tell you how many women write me and they're like, I eat like grilled chicken and broccoli. And I'm always like, are you competing? Why would you eat like that? And I know some people really just like to be healthy and clean. But where we restrict, we will rebel. Binging is the equivalent of rebelling, right? It's going against what your body's actually wanting, what feels good for you, and doing something that's harmful and hurtful to you, right? And then expecting to have a different result from it each time. So, and the other reason why we binge is from emotional duress. And what happens, and many of my clients and the women that follow me in my community, Done With Dieting, is a free Facebook group we have for you that you can go and join after this, after this Done With Dieting Live if you're not there already. But it's really understanding that the excess weight that you carry on your body has nothing to do with there being something wrong with your body. You're just eating more than what your body needs, and you're eating more than what your body needs due to emotional responses. If you only ate when you were hungry and stopped when you were full, you'd be at your ideal weight. We wouldn't be here. But clearly binges come about as well because they are based off of an emotional coping mechanism where you have for dealing with life. And you deal with life through eating food. And you don't want to turn off, and you don't want, so I'm going to use this analogy. Have you ever sat down and you go to eat and the food's gone and you're full, you're satisfied, but you don't want the food to be done. You don't want the meal to be done, right? Like you're sitting there and you're like, oh my God, if you know what I'm talking about, please give me some thumbs up, give me some hearts, give me some smiley faces, give me something. So we're talking about when you sit down to eat a meal and you're actually sad that it's ended, right? Do you know what I'm talking about? Okay. So I know there's more. Thank you. I was like, there's got to be more of you. I know I've experienced this a million times where I'm like, no, especially if it's like a really good dessert. I'm like, why is it done? Right? So what happens is, oh my God, I'm seeing so many beautiful ladies I know. Hello, Diana. Oh my God. Okay. So I'm going to stay focused. I'm going to stay focused, and then I'll answer any questions. So post any questions below. If you relate to anything, just post below. Thank you so much for the hearts. So when you're sitting there and you're eating in that space, right, and you don't want the food to be done, and then you continue to eat, it's because you have something going on for you in your life. So let's just go through this. A few ways that you want to be done with binges is, one, we want to get out of restriction. Please, for the love of all things holy, stop dieting. It does not work. If you're here, then you know it to be true. And if you keep thinking and are sitting there saying, no, I dieted once and I lost the weight, well, you gained it back and you're here. So the diet didn't work. Something that works will be with you for life. It is a lifestyle, right? So I really, really want you to hear this, and I say this with so much love. Please stop restricting yourself. Where we restrict, we'll rebel. We are little children inside our heads, inside our bodies, right? When you tell a little child they can't eat something, they find a way to get it. And when they do, they shove it all in their mouths as fast as they can because they're in fear you're going to take the food away. You are no different, right? When you sit there and you're like, oh my God, there's chips in the house. We never have chips. Right? And then all of a sudden you can't stay away from the cupboard, and you're bringing a bag of chips over with you, and you've eaten the whole thing, and you have no idea what just happened. And then you're so angry with yourself. And then you sit there and you tell yourself that you can't have chips in the house, because no, it's not that you can't have chips in the house. We want to desensitize the emotional attachment that you have to the chips, right? That's what we want to do. We want to desensitize our emotional attachment. Right? Connie, girl, we're all children, right? I just want you to get that. Our subconscious mind stopped forming after the age of 8. We have an 8-year-old in our bodies. So let's just go through the steps here, and then I'm going to go back and answer any questions because I really want you guys to get this. Just to recap, we binge eat. Binge eating is not necessarily just sitting there with, a pizza box and gallons of ice cream. That does not always equate to a binge. A binge is eating when you're not hungry, and overeating when you're not hungry in large volumes, right? That's a binge. Overeating when you're not hungry in large volumes. If you have a sleeve of Oreos, that's not the normal serving size. The normal serving size is like 2 Oreos. Do you get what I'm saying? So it's eating, you're clearly eating out of an emotional need. There are 2 reasons why we binge. We either binge from high restrictive dieting or from emotion, right? Now, I am an emotional eating expert. Yes, I am, literally from my life. And then also, this is what I help people with. I help to free them from emotional eating, okay? Disordered eating, any time where food means and is something more important to us than just food. Essentially, when we start to put food in the category of having human emotions and a human attachment to it, emotional attachment to a substance, then we've humanized food. Humanized is a word that I'm creating right now. So we've humanized food, right? It's really hard to break up with something that's become one of the most important relationships that we have in our lives, right? Like, let me just say that again. It's really hard to break up with something, and ending a relationship with food is a breakup, because I'm sorry, ladies, but really hear me. Food has been there for you when you're sad, when you need somebody to confide in, when you're lonely, when you're bored, when you're mad, when you feel misunderstood, when you're sitting there alone, sobbing, and honestly, when you're celebrating. So the idea of breaking up with this food that actually now you've got memories associated to all of these times in your life. And some of them go back to parents, right? Like I always use this example. My mom and I always sat down and had a hot cup of tea, and we dipped biscotti, right? Where we'd have a piece of toast with cheese melted on it. So all of a sudden, carbs, when I'm sad, I'm missing my mom, or, I'm wanting to feel this comfort. I'm like, carbs, cookies, bread, cheese, what can we do there? So we can even have emotional attachments. So this is the realm of binging. So now how do we stop? How do we stop binging when it's such a necessity? When we sit there and we so don't want to do it anymore, but we keep doing it. Do you know the average woman binges 2 nights a week? 2 nights a week. Well, what happens is binging again becomes a habit. When it becomes such a strong coping mechanism for us in life, it becomes a habit for us. And it's really hard to break a habit, especially when it's serving so many needs that we don't know how to serve otherwise, right? So when you're sad, if you've learned, let me put this in the scope. So are you guys with me? Did you get what I'm saying? Or am I like all over the place and confusing you? Like, let me know. Just say, I get it. Like, I'm with you. Something of that nature, okay? So when we are, thank you. Thank you for the floater. It's like, hi. So when we are, okay. So that was the freezing because my dad's calling and I guarantee I just declined it and he's going to call again. I need to do like a thing to my family that's like, do not call me during these times. But I love him, so it's okay. So here's what I was going to say. When we are in this place with food and we have these different emotional connections, when we'll go into autopilot because we haven't learned another way to cope. So think about this. When you have a really stressful day at work, you might sit there and be like, I'm not going to eat. I'm not going to eat. I'm not going to eat. Well, your subconscious mind is hearing, I'm going to eat. It doesn't understand the words no or not. So you come into the house and you go into autopilot and you go straight for the fridge. Okay. So, and then you sit there afterwards and you're like, what the F? Like, I don't understand. I just sat here. I said I wasn't going to do this. I'm being mindful, and yet I still did it. And then you're even harder on yourself. So here are the ways to be done with binging. 1, stop dieting. No more restrictions. Stop putting foods on the bad food list. And if you're sitting there going, but I'm so afraid that if I put them off the bad food list, I'm going to go nuts and I'm going to want to eat them all. And I'm going to be honest with you. You might at first. You might sit there and want to go a little crazy. And I will also say this. You're also going to get so sick of those foods that then you're going to desensitize the emotion out of them. When you give yourself the freedom to eat what you want when you want it, 1, you don't really want that much. Ladies, you'd be amazed how full you get very easily. When you stop subscribing to a diet and thinking you need so many grams of protein and you need to eat snacks and 3 meals and you start eating when you're hungry and stopping when you're full, you're like, oh, okay, I really only needed like half of that piece of pizza. Or I'm gonna have half my sandwich and I'm kind of full right now, so I'm gonna put that away. It's pretty amazing. So 1, let's stop dieting and restricting. Stop putting foods on the bad food list. The only time we want them is because we tell ourselves we can't. So once you start saying you can, like when I start telling myself, I have a sweet tooth. My mom will always say, like, I always had a sweet tooth. I love me some sweets. And you know, like I would sit there and I'd be like Rolos, like Tootsie Roll, like anything, right? And I have to tell you, like that stuff, nothing, nada. Now some good chocolate, you know, some mint chocolate chip ice cream or the coconut so delicious is like my jam. But you get what I'm like, my body does not want it. Like I don't feel good. It doesn't even taste that good to me. It tastes crappy. You know, and I didn't get there overnight, but I got there by giving myself the permission and loving me. So let's keep going here. 1, stop dieting and restricting. 2, please remove foods from the connotation of good and bad. This takes time because when you've spent a lifetime dieting, you're so pre-programmed. Like I still know the Weight Watchers points counts for food in my head from like doing that for so many years. Like I legitimately could tell you the points for everything. As much as I can't stand it, I still know them. Just because I did it for so long. So I can also tell you that, you know, it's not overnight, but once you stop doing that and you sit down to breakfast and you go, what do I really want? And it's like, what do I really want? What would be my ideal breakfast? You're thinking off the bat, oh, I want waffles and syrup and blah, blah, blah. You might one day, and then the next day you're going to be like, I want a smoothie, or I want eggs, or I just want some oatmeal, or I just need something not so sweet. It's amazing, but when you constantly tell yourself you can't have that one thing, then that's the thing that you think you're going to go nuts on, okay? So let's go back to this. Stop restricting. Get off dieting, please. I beg of you. 2, no foods on the bad food list. Let's just give you permission to eat what you want. Let your little girl know that she's safe to eat what she wants. Let you know, right? You two need to partner up. You have to stop ignoring her. She needs you. That's a big piece in being done with dieting, in ending binge eating. It's making peace with yourself. It's loving you, right? So that's something else we're going to get to. All right. Step 3, please eat breakfast. Eat when you're like, and I know you might be confused because I just said eat when you're supposed to eat, but what I mean is if you're sitting there and you're trying to wait the whole day because of a diet and weight loss, you inevitably, it's proven statistically that women that do that end up consuming most of their calories at night, and they end up wrecking their metabolism, and they end up putting on more weight, which is the same thing that happens with restrictive dieting. How many of you have restricted dieted and now you have more weight on you than ever before? And you're going, I don't understand. Like, I'm starving myself and I can't seem to stick to this diet and it's not working. And then I'm binging and I'm sabotaging myself. Stop the insanity. It's not going to work. Okay. So let's go into this. So why I say breakfast, and I just want to say this to you, if your body's truly not hungry in the morning, that's a whole nother thing that we can talk about. But I really encourage people to have something, a whole meal in their day instead of just the snacking or putting everything off and thinking that they're in this dieting mentality. Having breakfast really helps to put you in a mindset of, I want to nourish myself. I want to nourish myself with the highest amount of optimal fuel for the day, okay? So that starts you off instead of like, oh, I'm going to have like a caramel macchiato or I'm going to get this coffee drink. That'll be my breakfast. You're spiking yourself with coffee, which is a stimulant. It's a drug. And then it's tons of sugar. So now you're going to be craving carbs. You're going to have suppressed your appetite and not even really be in touch with your body and its hunger cues. You're not, and then you're going to be sitting there. And then when you do eat something, you're either going to feel ravenous or you're still going to be so disconnected and have pushed your hunger down that you're going to end up eating most of your calories again at night right before you go to bed. Recipe for weight gain. Okay? So, breakfast. Next thing, really, really pay attention to when you binge, please start getting connected to why you binged in the first place. This is like, and really should have been in the number one, but I was between that and the done with dieting piece because you have to be done in order to really want to heal, right? You can't really heal binge eating and still be like, but I'm going to diet. Because the diet's inevitably going to put you back on a binge and vice versa. It's going to be an insane, vicious cycle that you're never going to get out of. If you really want to be done with binging, you have to subscribe to, I choose to be healthy and whole. I choose to believe that I am complete exactly as I am. I choose to love me exactly as I am and trust and know that my body will normalize itself when I heal myself and my relationship with myself and food, right? So when you're in this place with food and you are not at one with you, you'll end up binging. So here's what I want to tell you. And there's a great book, and I should have brought it out here. It's actually in my office, but it's called 21 Spiritual Lessons to Weight Loss. It's by a mentor of mine and a woman that I admire greatly, Marianne Williamson. If you haven't read it, if you're not into the spirituals piece and God and things, by all means, just please read it. Just ignore that, or put source or energy or universe, whatever it is. It changed my life, truly. And what it did was I started for the first time, I stopped. And what I used to do was I would binge, and then I would go to the gym, and I would basically beat the binge out of me, truly. I would work out, I would be dripping with sweat, and the whole time I'd be working out, I'd be replaying in my mind, I couldn't believe that I just ate all of that. I felt so sick, I'm so disgusting, what an awful person. Oh my God, but I'm gonna get myself back on track, I'm gonna do this. And I know you might be thinking, yeah, well, that's what you do after you binge. You wanna go and work it out, you wanna sweat it out, you wanna get the calories out so that you don't put the weight on. You have to stop and actually ask yourself, why did you binge to begin with? And it wasn't until I read that book that I actually sat there and was like, oh, there's a reason. There's a reason behind this. I just haven't wanted to stop to take the time to look at it. It's a lot easier to just go to the gym. I know what to do. I'll beat myself up, right? I can go to the gym, I can sweat it off, and then I can go back and I'll tell myself I'll eat a really low calorie dinner and I'll start over, and then I'll swear to myself I'm never gonna binge again. Well, you can't ever do that if you're never healing. You have to get the source, right? So thank you so much. Thank you, Joanne. I know you, girl. Oh, there you are. I know you. And Christy, it's so good to see you. And Jen Jason, hi, it's nice to meet you, girl. So I really want you, the next piece in this is you have to have a journal. You have to take time, ladies. It is the hardest, and I will be the first to say that. It is not easy to quiet and take the time to actually sit there and go, where did this come from? But there was something that started it. There is a trigger at the root of every binge. And there are specific binge foods that you have that are premeditated for times of struggle. There are premeditated foods that you have for times of struggle. You know, you veered your car off and gone through the drive-through, or gone to the grocery store and gone in and gotten a pint of ice cream or a gallon. You've gone and gotten a thing of Entenmann's, or, you know, whatever. Even, or if you were like me, once I got really healthy, then all of a sudden I started binging on health foods because I was so restrictive in the health space. So I was either emotionally eating and overweight and eating crappy food and binging, or I was binging on health foods, and I was like, oh, well, I'm gonna go eat this fat-free frozen yogurt, and then I'm gonna get a 100-calorie brownie, and then I'm gonna eat a Quest bar, and I'm gonna binge on health foods. And I would just, my stomach was like bloated out to here. I felt sick from all the erythritol and fake fiber. And in my mind, I calculated I was still in the dieting, like, oh, well, I didn't have as much fat or calories or sugar, these fake foods. Meanwhile, I was wrecking my metabolism, and my hormones were all off as a result, right? So I really want you to get this, guys. You have to get a journal, and you have to start to ask, what caused this binge? Was it stress from work? Was it my argument with my husband? Was it the fact that I'm lonely because I desperately want love? Was it the fact that I'm really not living my purpose? Was it the fact that I got in a fight with my mom and I haven't said I'm sorry, and we haven't spoken in 3 months? I'm making all of these up, so I just want you to know that none of these are my life, but there's all these things. They are the driving reasons. We don't just decide to shove food down our mouths so we can actually hurt ourselves and feel disgusted and sick, right? On purpose. There's a reason. So the next step to this, after we identify the trigger, after we identify what brought on the binge, and we start to actually look at that and dissect what was the root cause, then we want to look at what are the trigger foods? What memories do they hold for us? Where did they come from? You know, I always use this analogy where, you know, and it's just such a good one. And it was one of my clients, and for those of you that have heard this before, but it's just such a good one that encompasses this. You know, she just always wanted chocolate cake, like 4 o'clock every day, and we were working together. And, you know, she said to me, Melissa, like, I don't understand. I'm doing this work. I'm really mindful, but I still want the chocolate cake. I'm still getting up at 4 o'clock, you know, from my office, and I'm going out. She lives in New York City, and I'm going to like a bodega or what have you, and I'm buying something chocolatey. And I said, well, let's like break this down even more. Where did this come from? Where is this coming from for you? What's the thing with chocolate cake? Was chocolate cake with your mother, your father? And she's like, oh my God, I used to make chocolate cake with my mom. We would do it on the weekends. Then we'd each sit down and have a piece of chocolate cake together. So then I said, well, when's the last time you talked to your mom? And she's like, oh, I'm missing her so much. She lives in California with the time zone. It's just been, she had moved to New York to be with her fiance. And so what we did was we set up time for her to FaceTime her family and to Skype more. And we also got her a trip home. And once she started to actually connect in with her mom and started talking to her mom each day, the need for the chocolate subsided. See, what she really wanted was the security. She wanted the comfort. She wanted the connection, because she wasn't feeling that in New York. She was feeling ungrounded. She was feeling lost. She was feeling sad. She was missing her family. And so, guys, there's always reasons. So the next piece to this, to these steps and being in really banishing binges and being done with binge eating, is what we want to do is then we need to have compassion. We really need to have compassion, because you're not wrong. And when you sit there and hate on yourself, that's what causes the binge. It's the dislike for you. It's the fact that you don't love and honor you, that it's really easy to shove food down an empty body, meaning an empty soul, an empty heart, an empty body that's not filled up with love, right? Like that's really what this is. So I know it's very cliche, like love you more and then you'll be done with binges. And it's really true, because you don't want to hurt yourself when you love yourself. Food doesn't taste as good. Many of my clients will say to me, like, they'll get angry with me at first when we start working together. That doesn't sound good, does it? They get angry with me at first because they go, Melissa, like, I don't want to binge anymore. And when I do now, like it doesn't even taste good. So this sucks because, I'm going and I'm overeating and now it's not even satisfying me anymore. And I'm going, well, that's great because it never really satisfied you. It's just now you're awakened and you're really actually connected to you. And that's what we want. I always start with my clients on let's connect back into you. And then let's bridge that gap and start our relationship with oneself. So I share that with you because when you go through this process, you might find that you'll still binge, but it won't taste as good. And you might be going like, well, now what? Like, now what am I supposed to do? Because I thoroughly enjoyed my binges and now I don't have that anymore. This is you might be sitting there going, that sounds crazy, but it really happens. And what you want to do is start to recognize when you go back and you look at the root of what's missing, we want to go, okay, that's missing. So what do I need then? What is it that I need? Is this just from habit? Is this a compulsive reaction to life? Right? A lot of people just have a compulsive reaction to life where they smoke or they chew gum or they just keep piling in food. What can you do instead to handle your stress? Right? What can you do instead to handle stress? Can you take a hot bath? Can you go for a walk? Can you call on your partner? Can you tell them that you need them? Can you read a book? Can you listen to a podcast? Can you listen to this over and over again? Listen to affirmations. Can you go and do something fun?
Google Home isn't set up yet. To get started,
that's my Google Home that's going off because it's not set up yet. I don't know why it's going off. We're going to ignore that. But you see what I'm saying? I love live things because things just happen. From my dad calling to Google Home, here we are. So I really want you to get that you want to get to the root. We want to look at the truth. So to take you from the second half of this, we're looking at what causes when you binge. I want you to look at what causes it. What is the root cause of the binge? Go back, look at your day, really take time. Don't just go and do a workout. Don't just go and beat yourself up. Don't just go and make yourself wrong. Don't just sit and cry. Don't sit and eat more, right? But sit there and actually say, what caused this? What was I feeling? What was I needing in this moment? Okay, right? Like, what am I needing? What do you want to feel? See, guys, we never take actions just because. We're doing it from a desired feeling that we want to have. Any of our goals, weight loss is not like, oh, I just want to get the weight off. You want to feel a certain way. You want to feel free. You want to feel sexy. You want to feel vibrant. You want to be radiant. You want to feel light. You want to feel energized, right? You want to be able to wear anything and just be like, right? Like, I'm me, right? So I really, really want you to understand. And yes, it's a scary feeling sometimes. Jennifer, you're 100% right. And by the way, it's so good to see you, girl. Yes. The book is 21 Spiritual Lessons to Weight Loss by Marianne Williamson. 21 Spiritual Lessons to Weight Loss by Marianne Williamson. It's on my website under resources. It's a red book. melissakathryn.com. So I really, really want you to get that it is scary. And I'm not going to sugarcoat this. It's scary. You've been running. If you've been binging for a long time, if you've been dieting for a long time, then you've been running from something, girl. You've been running from what you really want in life. You've been running from healing, from relationships where there's forgiveness needed. You've been running from loving you. You've been running from really looking at things that may have happened in your life that honestly, that scare the hell out of you, or things that you don't want to look at, or the fact that you might not really like you too much. There's a lot of things. And I promise you, look at where this running has gotten you. It's not working. So what would happen if you took time to stop? What would happen if you got to the root and you started going, wow, at work, I just don't feel like I'm enough. Where did they come from? And what are the foods that I like to eat when I don't feel like I'm enough? Because I don't feel like I'm enough a lot. Oh, okay. So I really like my carbs. I need pasta, and I like pretzels, and I like chips, and I like anything crunchy. Okay, well, where did that come from? Did I have a lot of those foods growing up, or were they the foods that I wasn't allowed? Or did that start for me in college? Or when did that really start? Start to get to know you. Be an investigator for your life, for you as a person in this body. Start to partner with you. Become your own best friend. Heal you by loving you. Get to know what you need outside of food. Food will never love you back. It's fuel. And yes, you need it to live, right? But we've got to desensitize it. It's not holding you at night. It's making you feel awful inside, right? It's not telling you beautiful things, right? It's actually causing you to tell yourself hurtful things. I want you to repeat this mantra. I am whole, healthy, and complete exactly as I am. I am whole, healthy, and complete exactly as I am. I love my body exactly as it is. And I love the woman that I'm becoming. I love my body exactly as it is. And I love the woman that I'm becoming. This is the space. This is what you need. This is what your body and heart is yearning for. It doesn't want any more food. When you start to feed it the positive affirmations, the self-love, moving from a place of love than a place of disdain, eating from a place of I want to nourish me and eat healthy foods because they make me feel good and give me the energy that I want to live a long life, to look and beautiful, to have beautiful skin, right? Hair and nails, right? When you start looking at the benefits and you start saying, this is why I'm choosing this, instead of hearing the inner child like, well, I can't believe I can't eat this or I can't eat that. There's no foods are off limits, but we want to choose foods that nourish us more. And we get to that place in time. You're not going to be done binging overnight, just like you didn't start binging overnight, right? It was seeds of lack that just kept building on one another year after year after year until you started really recognizing, I don't have another way to make myself feel good. And then you started using food. And then food became your number one coping mechanism, and it's also instant gratification, and it's everywhere, right? You don't have to spend a lot of money. It's right there. You can get it whenever you want it. So I really want you to go back to these steps. One, we want to be done with dieting and end restriction, so that will stop rebelling. Restriction equals rebelling. 2, right? We want to stop putting foods in the good and bad food category so we can start to desensitize the emotion, because all that happens when you're telling yourself you're bad, you feel bad. When we feel bad, we want to eat. When you tell yourself you feel good, when you think you look good, you're not sitting there going, oh my God, let me go eat a pizza, right? You're like, God, I feel really good. Oh, I forgot to eat. I didn't realize I was just having such a good time, right? But when you're so focused on being wrong and not being enough, it's really easy to want food because you already feel awful. Why not make yourself feel worse? And it's crazy because the mind's actually thinking, well, this is comfort, but you also know and are fully aware of the aftermath, right? Then what we want to do is actually get clear and be in a space of honoring our bodies with nourishment in the morning so that we don't consume all of our calories at night and end up setting off for a binge later on. Because the dieting mind will find a loophole. It will say, oh, well, you hardly ate anything today. You can go to McDonald's. You can go have that, right? You've heard it before, right? And then you end up having something and then all of a sudden you're like, I was so good all day, and then you don't stop, right? So then the next piece to this is we want to actually, in the binge state, we want to recognize what was the trigger, where did this start, what's the root cause, and we want to journal this. And then we want to look at what are the trigger foods is the next step. And what do the trigger foods, what emotional hold do they have over us? Who are they tied to? Are they tied to a memory, to a person, to an experience, or to a feeling? Let's get clear about that, right? Then we want to really look at, once with the binging, we really want to look at and getting silent into our relationship with ourselves and really looking at honoring ourselves and adopting that as a lifestyle, right? And recognizing that this isn't going to be overnight, so not beating ourselves up, but being in a place of patience and love and compassion, right? So these are all the things that are really needed, right? And the other piece to that when we're looking at this is how can you actually start to affirm how you want to feel through positive affirmations. I love myself exactly as I am, and I love the woman that I'm becoming. I'm healthy, whole, and complete exactly as I am. I'm healthy, whole, and complete exactly as I am, right? And so I really, really want you guys to understand that this isn't an overnight thing, but it's something that you definitely can overcome. If I did, you can, right? And I help my clients to do it all the time, and I'm helping you too. So please, please take this on board. Let me know any questions that you have. And the gift that I have for you all is I actually did a Banish Binges webinar that takes you through 3 mindful practices that really help you to really banish binges. It also takes you through understanding empowered eating and what those four C's are and how you can apply them to your life. It is an incredible webinar. I have women that just love it, and I really wanted to gift it all to you. It's not something that's always available, so I really wanted that to be my gift to you today. The link is below. Please go and grab that and watch it. If you're on board with what I'm talking about, it goes even more in depth. And I'm really, really want to honor you for showing up here today and for being a part of this and sharing. And I know that there's a lot of shame and guilt that comes with binging and knowing that you're tied to food and that it does serve a purpose for you beyond, you know, what you want it to. And I know that that's not easy. And I just really want to acknowledge you, and I want to honor you, and I want to say thank you for being you, and that you deserve to be free from food. You deserve to be able to eat without making yourself wrong and beating yourself up, and really feeling at peace with your body and knowing that anything that you do eat is from a place of love. And so again, we repair that relationship through allowance and through connection. And a big thing that I was really driving home today is that partnership with yourself and loving you. That's so important, because when you love you, you don't want to do things that harm you. You just don't. You know, you really want to be in a place of love. So let me just go through here, because I saw a lot of comments, and I want to make sure that I'm going to address them. Okay. So just give me one. Oh, don't you love this? I just looked down. It was 444. So all of you that know that I'm all into my spirit guides and different things. So I'm always looking at signs. I'm like 444, angel numbers. Anyway. Okay. Totally. Let's go in here. Okay. So, and Taryn is playing my village. Oh, that's all right. So if anybody missed this, or like if it's getting stuck or anything of that nature, I really want you to get like this. These Facebook Lives are on Facebook all the time, so you can watch them as many times as you want. I love that. I would really love, one thing that would just mean the world to me is I'm so passionate about helping to free women from dieting and really coming back to the wholeness of themselves, and to stop making themselves wrong and beating themselves up and truly being in pain around food. I would be honored and just ecstatic if you would share this on your pages, just with your communities and with anybody that you know that could benefit from this. The more women that know these steps and really can hear this message, the more women will be healed. And that's what we're really all about, right? Is helping one another rise up and really make the change that we want to see and experience in the world, and see and experience within ourselves. And it starts with you. And if you could share this, it would mean the world. Okay, so that being said, I want to thank you. And now let me go into and address some of your questions. I know this one's a little bit longer, so if anybody wants to go and grab the gift and go do your thing, I totally get it. So one of, okay. So Connie, I just want to tell you the book again that I mentioned is 21 Spiritual Lessons to Weight Loss. 21 Spiritual Lessons to Weight Loss by Marianne Williamson. It's a red book. Go to my website, melissakathryn.com, KATHRYN.com, under resources. You will see it there. Okay. Jennifer, yes, I know you were just commenting, and I know I spoke to this, but when it comes to really getting in touch with why we binge, and actually having to stop and ask ourselves those questions and be at peace with the feelings in our bodies, so to actually stop a binge in its tracks, we want to go back to, and that's why I really want to encourage you guys, go and get the free gift, because I take you through different breath work techniques to help support you in really stopping binge eating in its tracks. So one of the things that I want to tell you is, when you feel those feelings, And they come pretty fast and furious, and they're hard, right? Like it's hard to manage because you feel overwhelmed by it, and you feel kind of overtaken by it, and it's a little bit scary. So what I want to tell you is I get that it's hard, and if you can breathe through it. So breath work that I love is doing 5 breaths in through the nose, not through the mouth, in through the nose, calming, right? When it goes through the nose, it's going to calm your central nervous system. Bring it back in, hold it for 5, release for 5. In for 5, hold it for 5, release for 5. Do this about 10 times. You will literally be in a relaxed, calm state afterwards, and that's truly what we want, okay? So let me go in here. I could have sworn I saw other comments. Okay. Oh my God, I'm seeing so many. I just did something to the comments. Okay, I'm seeing so many of my clients and friends. It's amazing. All right. Why do I feel like sometimes I get scared when I look really good. Yeah, so Deb, that's when we, my brassiere, what am I, like 90? Okay, I'm just gonna cover that up there. So it is scary, and I can say this, like I had a client that she was losing weight, and everybody started to comment and tell her how good she looked, and it got uncomfortable. And that's really why, my programs are year-long, and we take you through all those processes so that you don't lose the weight to gain it back again. What I will share with you that I want you to do is I really want you to get in touch with a piece of you that's afraid, and I want you to start affirming, it is safe for me to be seen. It is safe for me to be seen. It is safe for me to be in this body. It is safe for me to look and feel good. It is safe for me to get attention. It is safe for me to be seen. It is safe for me to be seen. We just need to rewrite that story, Deb, because that most likely goes back to an experience that you've had, whether in your childhood or later in life, where you got attention and it didn't feel good, or something happened to you in terms of some sort of trauma that ended up leaving you really in a space where your coping mechanism is food, put the weight on so that I need protection. It's not safe for me to be seen. So we want to start to rewrite that story. So if you can get in touch with what experience you had and then start to look at that and go, okay, that was an experience, right? Experiences happen, but the true damage comes not from the experience itself, but from the meaning that we attach to the experience, right? True damage comes not from the experience itself, but from the meaning that we attach to the experience, right? So I really, really want you to understand that. We can have a trauma happen to 2 girls, the same thing. We could say 2 girls get molested. One of them can be a victim. And it could be the reason why she's overweight, why she can't, she's not good at relationships, why she struggles with money, why her whole life, different things, right? And that could be her story. The other could say, I had this trauma happen and it made me stronger. And it brought me higher, and she could use it to catapult her further in life. And I'm not using that experience. I know that's not you. I'm just pointing out something that can happen in 2 different, how an experience can manifest into 2 different lives. And it's really, again, it's not the experience, but it's the attachment, the meaning that we give to our experiences that define them, right? That we carry on with us, that become our stories. So Deb, so again, I would start affirming what you want to experience and how you want to feel, and that it feels really good to be seen, that it's safe for you. I get that your little girl doesn't feel safe. So we just want to partner with her and help her to feel that way. Connie, thank you so much. I'm so happy to have you here. Thank you for your compassion and generosity. You got it, Sheila. Thank you for sharing all this wisdom, being so real. You've got it. It's an honor to be here. And Jennifer, I've kept it off and it does feel good. All right. So Jennifer was one of my clients, and girl, she killed it. Like, she brought it home. I mean, she came in, she put everything right. Like, I mean, she's a powerhouse, and she took the coaching, and she had a lot of things going on in her life, and she was just like, I'm doing this, and it doesn't take long, guys, but it does. You have to take the time. You have to stop and connect in. You have to choose a different path, and you have, please, Another thing Jennifer did was she stopped dieting, and she said, this is the definition of insanity. I'm doing the same thing over and over, expecting a different result. Guys, you cannot expect to be done with binging and still be dieting and on highly restrictive diets. You just can't. You can't stop emotional eating and be on a diet. You can't, because again, the restriction is tied to rebelling, which is tied to emotion, right? So I really want to encourage you guys, step one of today's Facebook Live, this Done with Dieting Live, is about being done with dieting, truly stopping restricting so that you can stop rebelling. And then it's really about partnership with yourself. So please go back and watch this as many times as you need. Know, again, that it takes time, and just know that I get it. I understand you. If you want more of what I teach, please sign up on my website. We send you an awesome free gift, our food prep meal guide. It's a week of healthy meals and how to actually prep for a week of healthy meals. But also then you'll be on my list, and you can receive my blogs, and you can unsubscribe at any time. But I get it, and I always have people say, I feel like you're in my head, and I can feel like I'm in your head because I've been there, and I do get it, and I did it. And if I can do it, you can do it, right? So thank you so much for being here. I absolutely love you. Please share this. Absolutely. And I just want to thank you so much for being a part of my community. You guys are everything to me. All right. Love you, and have a beautiful night. See you next week, 4 p.m. Pacific, 7 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Central. Done with Dieting Live.